Hello and welcome to our first podcast here on Stage 1. Today we have my co-founders Craig Pugsley and Steve Zebrowski, and of course myself, Daniel Derrick. Today we are going to be talking about Stage 1, where we are today, where we've been over the last sort of month. But before we get into that, here is a message from our sponsor. Did you know you can now order our design workshops and even order design resource via the Stage 1 online store? To check them out, visit www.wearestage1.com/store. So, Craig, Steve,
hi,
myself, hi.
Hi Dan,
how are you doing?
I'm alright actually. This is.
It's a good, wet, cold, miserable. I'm making it sound depressing outside. It's really awful weather.
Well,
but in here it's great.
It is depressing outside, to be honest. But here in the lovely work shed here in Swindon, it's actually quite balmy and quite beautiful, as you can see from the wonderful exterior, plush interior here as well.
It is.
Yeah, it's good. It's odd being interviewed for our own podcast.
I know. It would have been nice for someone else to kind of interview us and sort of ask us questions, but I guess we kind of got to come up with our own questions ourselves, really.
But this is how we roll, though, right? This is how we do it.
Free-spirited.
Exactly.
Shall I guess we should talk a little bit first about what is our audience going to expect from our podcasts? So we've got these interview-focused podcasts.
Yep. So we're going to do every week, fortnight, maybe, fairly often, a podcast where we're interviewing an interesting, insightful, expert professional in a whole load of different disciplines that affect us, tech companies, affect startups, affect contractors, affect investors, basically anything in the whole Stage 1 ecosystem. We're going to get someone in who is an expert in a particular area and then grill them intensively.
And horrifically,
until they spill all the details, and then we're going to interlace that each time with something that's a bit more kind of news focused.
Yeah,
like, whatever's happening.
Big trending topics that are coming up in the design space, in the innovation space, in the consumer space, any space really.
All the spaces.
Yeah, and in the space.
And just in space,
actually
in space generally as well.
Yeah.
I quite like that.
Yeah.
That's good. So we're going to do a bit of that and a bit of that, and come along for the ride because it's going to be exciting.
Every single week. Okay, so now that's, I guess, what you're going to expect from us from now into 2020, the next 12 months. Let's start here, really, when we came to look at this place.
Yeah, right back at the beginning.
It was about, a month ago now?
Yep, not even that. It's like 21st. So what was it? 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks today. It's our third week anniversary.
Wow.
There you go.
Today.
We should celebrate, yeah.
To the day, yeah.
There you go, living a dream for 3 weeks.
So I guess...
That's startup life for you, isn't it, eh? That's lean.
What were we looking for? So we're 3 contractors. We worked on a project before. I guess what were we looking for in a studio space?
Well, I suppose personally from my experience, I always, even as a child, I wanted to do something. I always wanted to kind of have a company and do something amazing and change the world. I started contracting about 3 years ago, and that was a step up from being a permanent. And I wanted to do contracting because I felt like I needed to have at least a couple of years experience before I set up a company, like a proper company. And it was I needed to do that for me, because it's a different way of thinking. As in permanent, you've got a lot more say as to what you want to do, when you want to do it, and how you want to do it. You're in control. You're more free. On the minus side, I suppose, you've got to make sure you can get those contracts coming in.
Yeah,
that's the same as with business. So, the next step was, right, okay, I want to find maybe, I was thinking about maybe my contracting business, limited business, turn that into the company and make that grow and start employing people. But unfortunately, I met these two guys. And
did you say
unfortunately? No, but fortunately, I met these two guys, and it was on our last contract, and we got along really well. We just bashed out ideas, and we seemed to be on the same page, wanted to do the same thing.
What was the turning point for you, though, where you went from being, hi, I'm Steve, I'm day rate expert at design, to being, hi, I'm Steve, I want to be a founder? Like, what was there a moment where you just woke up and went, this isn't enough for me? Or did you see someone else do so? Like, what is that watershed moment for you?
I think it had been always the plan. Right. Since as a kid, I wanted to have a company.
Right. That's very similar to my story, really.
Okay.
I kind of knew where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
And I just went after that goal.
Yeah.
Since the beginning?
Since school days. Yeah, I knew I wanted to be in this space. I didn't know how, I didn't know anything, really. I just knew websites, technology, that's kind of where I wanted to be. And I just kind of followed that. But I didn't know how to get there. And then on the way, I've just taken opportunities and just gone for it. A lot of people sit back and say, oh, that's a big risk. But I just sit there and I just take it. And it's not like risk. There's two types of risk. I think there's risk where you just do it and you don't really analyze it. And then there's a risk where you analyze it and you just go, I can do this. I know I can do this. And I think with stage one, I think that's where we...
But I mean, there's always risk, isn't there? That's the thing. It's like if you're, and this is the big difference between perm and contracting, just generally. It's like permanent staff are safe. Especially in the UK, you are safe.
I would say not necessarily, because I've been made redundant twice in my career, and I think I read somewhere that on average people get made redundant once every 7 years.
But that's
nowadays that's changing more and more.
But even if it's going down to like 5 years, that's still a number of years where you know that they can't just kick you out.
Relatively safe.
You've got 2-3 months at least where they've got, it's like you're relatively safe.
But I don't think you are anymore, though. That's the thing.
I think it's getting
so up and down, and they can't predict where we're going in the industry.
And I think the safety net
is
is degrading, and I think it's going to get to a point where
we're all self-employed.
There's going to be a lot more contractors. Yeah. I think companies are going to want to have less responsibility, and people want to have more say and more control of their own lives.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah, so I mean, yes, it is more stable having a permanent employment, but it's less stable. So you guys are saying it's less stable than it used to be.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit. It's false pretenses. It's a bit like you feel safer, but actually your life's in somebody else's hands, and they can do what they want with it.
Although I guess we're talking from a tech, side. I can't really talk about people in like NHS or anything like that or anywhere.
Yeah,
but there might be places where being a perm is much more
within the industry
better to be. But in our industry, I think we're going down the same route as, say, builders or any of those sort of contractors where they, that's you hire a builder, you don't have permanent employees, you just have contractors that do the job.
Yeah.
Why do you think that's the case in the tech industry then? If that is true, why do you think it's unique to like tech or those kind of service industries like
because I think it's such a big turnaround. Mm-hmm. As a builder, you've got so many little projects going on. You don't tend to have one client and that's who you work for forever.
Yeah.
But we're getting to that point in that space where it's such a quick turnaround. Technology is moving so quick that nobody can keep up. Yeah, we're all wanting that next big thing.
And it's like just in the UX industry alone. I mean, you think 10 years ago you could be a UX designer and you can do the full umbrella of everything underneath UX, from research, interaction design, interface design, and even a bit of development. Nowadays they're specialisms, and so when you're an interaction designer, when people say UX design, predominantly that's interaction design, but you need to be able to do research as well, because you can say that UX without research, UX can't exist. It's based on research.
I see. This is I think the key point. I totally agree with you. I think give it maybe 5-10 years ago, just having a designer in a team. Give it 10 years ago, right? Just having a designer, a dedicated person that did design just for your team, and they didn't go anywhere else, was fairly rare. Like it wasn't a common occurrence, and it's only recently, maybe 5-6 years ago, where now you do have a dedicated resource. That person can focus just on design. They're not doing a little bit of coding here or doing a little bit of testing there. It's just design. I think we've now gone, like you're saying, into another kind of era almost of specialism, where it's not just enough to have a unicorn in your team that can do the design tasks. The whole team now, the whole kind of company has realised, that design is such a specialised area, like engineering is, that you need to have specialist folks that become T-shaped and can get really deep on something, and then that team need them for the resource, and that's how they remain competitive. Is because they can create great designs where the great professional designers work with great professional engineers and the great professional product people to really create a specialised, honed, compelling experience.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
But I think
it just doesn't work.
As a business, why wouldn't you want that? You want many people that you can pour upon at any point in time, so that you can build your product quickly. You don't want static people in a business where it's okay. What do I need to find them to do next? It's like, I need you for a week, I need you for a week, and then I need you for 2 weeks. Let's all work. Like from my side, I'm working on multiple projects. And doing different things and talking to different people.
I think gone are the days that you have to be rigid. You have to be fluid now, and what you're doing now, you might not be doing next week, and you might not even be with the same company next week.
So that's fluidity in terms of the work you're taking on, not the type of how you're doing it.
Potentially both. I mean, work you're taking on and the business you're working with, and how you run, as if you're going to run as a contractor or running a business. I think this is the same for both.
So let's take it a little bit more back. So again, we've just said that we're 3 contractors. We've been doing this for a very long time now. At what point did we think it's time now to create an agency, the 3 of us as one?
The 3 of us.
3 become one.
Because we can continue. We could have continued as 3 contractors. 3 businesses kind of competing against each other, if you look at it that way. And we can continue doing what we're doing, but we've now teamed up and gone, right, let's do this as one full unit.
I think one thing which slightly branches off from your question but answers it partly is, I find it's very difficult to set up a business on your own. I think, Greg, you said that. And one thing I've learned in the past, quite a lot in the past year or two, or majority of my contracting career, is, a lot of people are very competitive and they kind of like fight against. But when you speak to people who are really at the top of the game, really successful, and have multi-billion-pound companies and stuff like that, they tend to choose who they work with, and they want to be able to trust who they can work with. So it's a trust. And also, it's not about trying to jump over somebody else. It's about helping people. And if you help people, people want to work with you. If people want to work with you, your business is going to grow.
It's the sum of the parts, isn't it? It's like you, as yourself, can do one person's day worth of work, can't you, each day? That's it. That's the most you could do. But once you become 3 and you've got 3 brains, and once you change it from being day rate into an agency where you can take multiple projects on at the same time and interlace them, each feeding off of each other's strengths, running them at the same time, that's where you become more effective, more powerful, be able to do more work, basically.
Find bigger clients. I think there's 3 versus 1 is so much better. And I think as we move forward, we won't be just 3. There'll be hundreds of us doing the same thing, working together. Like the event we went to in Bristol. Let's talk a little bit about that. Being in that room was amazing. We were with people that are doing so much emerging technology.
So much enthusiasm in that room.
So this event was I'll Be Back Southwest, which is run by Noughts and Kerry from Tiny Giant in Bristol.
Big shout out to them.
Big shout out to those guys. They're amazing what they do. They're AI marketing agency, and they do some really, really cool stuff. Check out their gin, AI generated gin, over Christmas. Great Christmas present.
It actually tastes quite nice.
I was driving, so I couldn't have too much. But they're a great little crew they've got going on there. But the event is all about bringing emerging technology, art and marketing kind of together. That's what the I'll Be Back was. So they had a couple of different talks. One was on the use of data, bringing stories into how you present data. So of course that's a big thing at the moment, isn't it? Like the use of data and how it can be manipulated, and being able to and the use of AI to kind of empower that.
You've got all that data. How do you sift through it, and how do you give the people right data at the right time?
Yeah, which is a super interesting topic,
Yeah.
isn't it? Actually, it's a really interesting kind of thing to dig into. We had another guy from Hargreaves Lansdown who was there, and he was talking about how you create networks, and like the mathematical modelling of networks. It got quite deep, didn't it?
He showed us some formulas, and a few people asked, and said, like, you've got a screen full of one calculation.
Well, the bit I did love was he shows a calculation with like multiple sums, like a little equation.
Yeah,
and he goes, it's going to get no more complicated than that.
Next screen,
the entire thing. I was like, look, as a layman, I did A-level maths, right? So I should like at least be able to look at that and go, and even I was like, no.
Yeah, this is a little bit beyond me.
Don't get it. Don't get it at all. But that was so what he was talking about was the ways that you can look for patterns in large sets of data and then effectively cluster them into meaningful kind of groups. Cluster analysis, right? Like we do for design, where you have a load of bits of insight and then you group them together to form clusters. But the point with this is that the system does it automatically. The algorithm does it kind of by itself, looks for these patterns and then clusters. So super interesting topics. And then there was a lady there who had run an anthropology and technology symposium, like conference type thing.
And she's got another one coming up next year, or two next year. I can't remember. I know she's got a couple more. But that was quite interesting because it is research. You actually are researching like people's behaviour. Yeah. And that's part of UX.
It's what we've been doing for years, isn't it?
It's what we've been doing.
It's
a great match-up.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting.
But she was presenting it from the theoretical, kind of the academic, not the theoretical, the academic point of view, with the sort of the rigour of psychology, and I love that. I love the fact that, we've kind of come at it bottom up.
Yeah.
We've learnt the trade and we've just done it for years and years and years. And I think where she's coming from is that more kind of academic top-down approach.
Yeah.
And we need to meet in the middle. That's
we do. And it's a great opportunity.
Well, I suppose that is like a UX designer. You get all this data, and you need to it's like try to make create organisation out of chaos, simplicity out of like absolute massive data and information. If you gather that in an intelligent manner, and come up with an intelligent design.
There's value there, isn't it? That's something that you can use. It's got a bit of insight, or it's got some commercial value, or whatever.
Yeah.
Why are we talking about I'll Be Back?
I
totally forgot.
We always go off.
This is a classic ramble topic. We need flags or something, right? Like I'm rambling now.
And this is what happens when we're in the office all the time. We always go off on.
We talk.
Like 2-3 hours later, we're talking about something completely off subject.
Yeah.
But anyway, so let's get back to where we were originally. We've got the office. We pretty much got this next day, didn't we? We came to see it.
Yep.
We picked it up.
Moved in.
Moved in. We kind of really spoke a little bit about why we decided to go down the route of an agency. I think three of us together saw something. I think it's pretty from my side. I mean, I've been in and tried to do many startups over the years, and doing it on my own it's hard.
You don't get that spark very often, do you?
No. And it's trying to find those co-founders, and there's people that you can talk to and you go, oh, they could be, and then it just doesn't work. But I think from day one, all three of us were there was something there that I knew we could grow a business.
I'd say it's 50% personality. I mean, if you can do the job, that's half of it. But have those skill sets, and we've got overlapping skill sets, and we can complement each other and bring out the best in each other and learn from each other as well. Yeah. We've all got some skills which the other ones don't have. We can learn.
I think that's probably the biggest part of finding a co-founder is someone who has similar skills but not the same. Because if there's two of you doing exactly the same thing, there's nothing different. But we're all pretty much in line with each other. But there is, like you're saying, there's these extra little bits that we have and we can to grow on.
The one other thing I will say that really kind of brought us together, I think, is that yes, we've got that design kind of mindset and experience and knowledge, and the overlapping bits of kind of skill sets as well. But the other big piece for me was your commercial drive. Your ability to see value and work in a kind of business ethic, really, to see the commercial applicability of what we do from a design perspective.
I'm very for adding value to clients.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the point of just doing a project? It's like, is that project actually going to make that business more successful and help its users? You know, you coming up with a product or functions within the product that really is going to benefit those users, and how it can be optimum. Most valuable.
You meet a lot of people who, especially in the design trade, who are just really, really focused on what they do from the design discipline. You know, they're really great at what they do. A lot of people that I've met, you know, you look at them and you think, you know, you really know what you're doing. You've had so much experience in this. You're at the top of your game, but you could never sell it.
Yeah.
You could never sell the idea.
It's challenging.
You could never sell this. You know, you just don't have that ability to empathise and to put it into, which is odd for a designer, right? But from a business perspective, be able to present what you've got and your value in a way that people want to pay for it.
Yeah, because you often find designers and developers, they're great at their jobs, but when it comes to like having like the people skills, as some people call it, or the softer skills. I mean, I've worked in previous companies, and you'll get people like the managers are more the softer skills, and talk to people, sell ideas, and manage people, and then you've got the people who've got like they could be absolutely brilliant developers, designers, but they like to be creative and creative in their own ways, but that doesn't necessarily involve people, and they tend to be a lot more detailed, so they don't see the bigger picture. But I think with business, it's important to be able to, you need to see the detail, but you also need to see it from a strategic level, an overview, and having multiple people makes it a lot easier.
I think one thing it's probably a good thing, but it's also a bad thing that we have as three of us, is that we have so many ideas, and it's trying to bring all those ideas into sort of one, but not try and do everything at once.
It's like, which one's the best one to start off with first?
So in terms of like our roadmap, I think probably that's where we've got to do this,
organise
and we've got to get that fixed up,
prioritise,
focus on one core piece.
It is fair to say though, like starting a business like we've done, as quickly as we've done it as well, there's no focusing on one thing. You've got 10 things that are all equally important, and they all need to be done at the same time.
Chicken and egg.
So it's like, right, get that done. But we've done it,
and we are. So I guess we need to talk about that stuff then. So we've now moved in. We've got a video coming out very soon that shows that moving in. Three of us from three different perspectives. What have we been doing for the last couple of weeks? And what, I guess the question is, what haven't we been doing the last couple of weeks?
So we got the bank account set up. It's the first thing we do, right? Get the bank account set up, get the money in place.
A name.
Find a name.
But we had to get a name first.
That's right. No, name first.
And
how did we decide the name?
We decided over lunch. In the pub.
So
Well, we had a list, didn't we? We created a whole list, and then we started going through those lists and seeing if anybody else has got those names. It's like, oh no, we can't have that one, or we can't have this one, and then it's like,
are we gonna tell them what the other names were?
No. Maybe some point in the future, but not now.
It's maybe our first year anniversary.
The funny thing about names is it's so hard, and over the years of trying to create brands and trying to create startups, what I've noticed is the ones you don't spend much time on and you just go, oh yeah, that'll do, stick that on there, are always the ones you go for. Like when I was putting that list together, I spent so long coming up with ideas and looking at websites, and they were generating stuff for me. And literally the name that I spent seconds on, just like, that might work, is the one we picked.
So, and then to agree on it as well. That's kind of crazy.
Well, I guess we had a vision originally of where we wanted to go, and it kind of fit very nicely with that vision.
We all had something which is compatible. We all wanted to do more or less the same.
And I guess stage one is, even though we're saying we're helping startups from like ground upwards, it kind of sits with us nicely as well, because we are at stage one right now.
We're a startup.
Not to say that we don't change the name in the future to other things, but we are really at stage one. With everybody else in the bucket as well. So
it was good research, actually. User research. We're researching ourselves. We're a startup. What are the problems of being a startup? But you've got an idea, and how do you realise it? Because this is what we're going to be doing for startups.
This is what we spoke about from the very beginning, though, wasn't it? Treating the business like, in the same way we treat product development in a lean, iterative, agile. You experiment with a load of different things, and you're like 10 of them, and you chuck none of them away, and it's the one that you carry on with where the value is. So you have to treat your business in the same way that we would treat a product or project, and we're still doing that now, right? Like, we're moving fast. We're making some mistakes and we're learning stuff along the way, but you can only move on if you go, like, you make that move, right?
And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, so many people we spoke to already have gone, you've been here 3 weeks and what have you done already? Like, that's amazing, because we're working so quick. And I think that's the issue with the industry today, is that there's some businesses that are moving so slow that they're never going to catch up. They need to catch up.
Large corporations, I mean, they get so big, it's like they cannot adapt fast enough.
No.
Small and agile, you can.
And you can't work slow in this industry. It just doesn't happen.
Technology's like,
But
so quickly.
But we did, like, yesterday you did a daily update on the work-life balance. As much as we're working fast, we're also having fun at the same time. And I think for any brand, any business going out there, they need to focus on both. Don't just work hard. You can grind and grind and grind away, but you also need that fun.
Especially as a design, like, especially as a creative, right? Like, and anyone who's creative has to be creative in their job, and creativity is across the board, right? It's not just designers. You could be an engineer, and you need to be creative in the solutions, how you provide solutions. But I mean, I can only speak from a designer's perspective. The best ideas come in the off time.
Yeah.
Like,
you're
when
in
you're
toilet,
relaxed.
you're in the bath, you wake up at 3 a.m.
Cycling. I do a lot when I'm cycling.
That's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, because that's when your brain's relaxed, that's when you're comfortable and free, and that's when the ideas come. So if you can create that environment at work, if you can feel like you're having fun, it's great.
It's when you remember, you've just gone to bed and you realise, it's already December, it's nearly 2020. Oh my God, I need to do Christmas shopping.
Well, mine's completely opposite to that. Mine's like, I get in bed at about 10 o'clock and I'm still working on my phone at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I need to stop doing that.
Yeah, it's a bad habit.
But my brain doesn't tick off, and I
Mine
think that's
doesn't.
the problem.
It takes me about an hour and a half to go to sleep, and then I wake up through the night several times, and that's normal for me.
Yeah.
Well, I've got kids, so I've got like a natural calendar at home.
What the hell?
Yeah, this is it, right? Like, day starts here when they're ready to go.
So I guess let's talk a little bit about like the type of person we are, because I know from myself, I'm not a morning person. And as I've been turning up at the office at sort of 11:30, and that's when my day starts. But then I tend to work through the evening as well. Yeah. I think that's a big part of like culture, like pushing people down the 9 to 5 route.
9 to 5, 5 days a week, commute into the office.
Yeah.
Sat in traffic when you could be doing something like having a lion. A lion's a very valuable thing in one's life. Or actually working or doing what being productive, and just sat in the car, you're not all, trying to catch a train or bus or waiting at a bus stop. You're not being productive.
No, it's not even good downtime either, because you're fretting about getting to work, or you're fretting about
you're doing
this.
it at the same time as everybody else, and you're and it's like, I need to drive or travel 3 miles. It takes 3/4 of an hour. I could walk that.
Okay, so you're not a morning person.
Far from it. Like,
I'm not a morning person.
No.
At all, really. But my kids have forced me to be a morning person.
So you have no choice. I'm not a morning person.
Yeah.
No, oh right, so we've got some night owls. All three of us night owls. Well, that's quite interesting.
And I was coincidentally looking at research into behaviours, and they're saying like, I can't remember the name of the people who wake up. There's a name like night owls for people who are late starters, late finishers. There's a name for people who get up early and finish early.
Insufferables.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. And it basically.
Sorry, anyone out there who's an early morning person.
Yeah.
Early bird.
It's still early for me. It's 5:30. It's early for me. 5:30 p.m. But anyway, I forgot what I was going to say.
Help a guy out. What you say about the research you've heard about early birds?
They said that people are more productive if they fit in the way they naturally operate. So if you're a late starter, you will be naturally more productive starting late, finishing late.
Yeah.
And it's the same with early starters. They're better early in the morning and finishing earlier.
So you know your pattern. Once you recognise your pattern, then you work to it, basically.
Yeah.
So do you think that should be like one of the questions when you go for a job, whether you're maybe not a contract, but when you're a permie, they should ask you like, what type of person are you? More early or like late?
They do use personalities types, so this is an addition to that, isn't it? It's like, well, if you prefer to come in at 10, 11 o'clock, that's fine, as long as you do the work.
Yeah. But then if that was the case, you would have a business that is running potentially 24 hours a day. Because you'd have the really late people, like the sort of like late people, and then the early birds. I guess from a business side, looking at that though, if you need collaboration, that's where it gets a little bit tricky.
Yeah,
You're
but-
waiting on people.
But if there's a company called Basecamp, you know Basecamp?
Yeah.
The project software? Basecamp is a 24-hour organisation. So they have people in every single time zone, pretty much, around the world. There's always someone working on Basecamp.
Yeah.
And just what they've done is they've created a really good process where people can hand work over to the next team that takes it on. So everything's, they've got good, obviously Basecamp is a management tool for doing exactly this. So they use Basecamp to do it.
Yeah.
But they've got other tools as well that they use. They hand the project over. It's all well documented enough that someone else can just pick it up. I do wonder what impact that has though. Like I like to be able to start a problem and then spend 6 hours on it, just like really going to town on it. But if I've got, just an hour or two to spend on that thing, and then I've got to move on to something else, or it's the end of the day or whatever, then not sure what impact that's got.
I also looked at a little bit of some research. I like to, documentaries and research. I need to get a girlfriend. But anyway,
If there's anyone out there, just what is it? Hello, we would love to date Steve at stage1.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just email hello at stage1.com.
Does it have to be hello?
Hello.
We are
No, because
Stage
that'll go nowhere. It just has to be hello. But you have to start the conversation with hello.
Hello, Steve.
Hello, Steve. Anyway, now you made me forget again.
You more research that you've read about Basecamp?
So, I don't know how accurate this is, but after reading some research on, sometimes the way your brain works, you can get quite a complicated problem, and you look at it, and you think, I don't know how to solve this. Mm-hmm. So apparently, one of the best ways to solve it is look at it, and then go away and do something else, and then come back at it, and then 9 times out of 10, or maybe not quite 9 times out of 10, but more often than not, you'll find a solution quickly because your brain subconsciously works out the problem while you're working on something else. If you still haven't found a solution to that problem, then look at it again and then go away and carry on and do something else, and then do that 2 or 3 times or however many times you need.
Right.
And in theory, most of the time you'll come up with a solution for that.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. I can say that's definitely...
Failing that, just ask somebody who can help you, or do a Google search on some research on it and stuff like that.
No, that makes perfect sense. Why are we talking about this? Oh, because of the personality types we are. Yeah.
So I think there's challenges, but I think it should be a question, because that in theory that puts it down to the person's happiness.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part. Happiness is a big part of your job.
It totally is. Yeah. It really is. Like, how can you possibly be effective if you're unhappy in what you do? Yeah. It's about finding that happiness.
I've been in teams where our team was the lowest morale in the entire business, and it's a large business. And production would have been really low. We've got no drive.
But in a space like we're in, if you're treating your employees like that, there's not very many of us. There's, especially in the user research side, there's like not many at all. So if you treat them all like that, you're going to struggle to recruit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
People are going to leave.
Because you get a reputation. Glassdoor now, it's so easy to find out what an organisation's like before you even apply for the role.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can't afford to have that kind of reputation.
And I have to say, going back to what we were originally talking about, one of the reasons why I wanted to set up a business or be a contractor and set up a business is you have more control of what you do, and you're doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
And that naturally makes you more happy. So although it takes me ages to get out of bed, once I'm out of bed, I'm going, yay.
Yeah.
So once you had your coffee.
Admittedly, I wake up and I go, God, I'm knackered. Yeah. I need to get some sleep. And it's like, well, wait a minute, I was supposed to have been asleep for the past 8 hours or whatever. Mm-hmm. But then once I get out of bed, and it's like, right, cool, I'm going to work. It's a great feeling. I know not many people have that feeling, and it's, if you don't have that feeling, then there's a need to change.
Yeah, definitely.
What's the phrase? If you can find a job you love, you'll never do a day's work in your life.
Yeah, it's a hobby. And this has been a hobby for me. I mean, I don't know about you two, but I mean, this has been fun.
Yeah, and that's I think that's the reason I moved from the permanent world to the contracting world, because I wanted that fun. I realised actually quite quickly it was very like contracting and permie world are very similar. Like you do the very similar 9-to-5 job. It is changing now with IR35 coming in.
It can't be 9-to-5.
And that's that. But I think going from a contractor to owning your own agency, or studio in our case, is very different. You're doing a lot of things, and I like my day to be varied. I like to be doing like email marketing in the morning, and then in the afternoon we're phoning up clients. That's fine.
Being with a client like most of this week actually, and then come in here. So like, right, I've had my workshop. I'm going to come into the office and meet up with you guys. And then he said, "Oh, let's do a podcast." Okay.
Come on, Steve.
So it's like, you know, it's so, you know, you're doing design in the morning, doing a workshop about your design, and then you've got a few changes to do. So I'm going to be doing that later. But we're doing a podcast. And I'm in a different office, and this is more of a studio office. The other office I was at is more like an office, traditional office. Different environments.
So I guess let's talk a little bit about 2020. So we've now been around for 3-4 weeks.
Decade.
We've got a brand new year coming, fresh off in January. We're going to be again going faster than ever we have before. And that's I don't know how that's possible, but we will.
The pace will find a way of basically forever work. So we're working at our slowest, and it's our slowest is our fastest at the moment. We will, to grow, we have to get faster. So that means we have to get more efficient and build resource. And so we'll find a way. I
mean, but that's why we're building our contractor network. You know, and if anyone doesn't know about our contractor network, you can go over to Stage One. wearestage1.com. Sign up to our contractor network. We have plenty of big clients in the new year come in. Sign up, and when there's something that matches your skill set to a job, we will be in touch.
And it's because it's very good. There's the pitch.
Boom,
nailed the pitch as well.
It's free, and we don't sell your details to anyone. We're contractors, or coming up to ex-contracting, so we know what it's like. We know what we don't want as a contractor, so we're going to provide what contractors don't want. We want to provide contractors what they do want.
Is that way working? Is that way round the hog, or I need to go and change the proposition on the website?
Nearly spilled beans then.
But this is why it's different though. Like it looks like we're kind of disrupting 2 or 3 different industries at the same time. That is what we're trying to do. So we're sort of disrupting being able to find people, resourcing people for a job by saying, there's no commission, we just charge a small admin fee, we don't make money off the back of your hard work, that's not what we do, and we have an intimate knowledge in your skills as well, because we're designers ourselves, or we're a product studio, when we expand out.
That as contractors, and now we're a studio.
And I think the biggest thing to mention is that it's not a money-making scheme for us. It's a way for these contractors to have great projects, because that's been an issue that we've all had, but also work with an agency that's working with potentially big corporate brands and technologies and startups. So from our side, it's not about making money, it's about just bringing you in-house,
building the best products, building things that really make a positive difference in people's lives and businesses. And if you can be part of that as a contractor, we want to hear from you. We want you to join our network.
Totally.
I think we're pretty much coming to the end of this podcast for this week. I guess before we go, what can the viewers expect for 2020?
So lots more craziness, actually, lots more of us trying stuff.
Exciting year, isn't it?
Exploring some big clients coming along as well.
We've
already
had some meetings with a few potential clients, and we're starting to get people coming in, basically saying they want us in from January.
And this is actually something amazing, because like starting up a startup agency like we are, or a studio, like you don't really expect these big clients to come to you.
No.
But because we've all teamed up and we've had the knowledge of being a contractor over these years, that's kind of give us that little edge into the world. But it's amazing that they can see 3 people that have come together, 3 different skill sets, and that they're happy to work with us.
Because they know how good we are. I mean, these connections have come via our networks. And the fact that we've been able to show how good we are in our various guises individually, and then coming together, as you say, as the three of us, it's kind of pretty unstoppable, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we've got quite big networks on our own profiles. We've got quite big networks on LinkedIn, for example, and I do get contact with people daily. And there's always opportunities. You never know when the next opportunity is going to come. That's another thing. It's like, at the moment we're thinking about, well, we're getting a lot of interest. What happens if everyone says yes? That's one of the things we're going to be looking at next week. Right? Okay.
How do we
work
manage
out
that?
scenarios? If everyone's kind of like says yes, how do we build up the resources as quickly as possible?
That's it.
We'll find a way. We always do.
Well, I mean, that's what the network's
the
for, right? That's where that's why this business proposition makes so much sense. It's like as the work comes in, as we get bigger and bigger projects coming in, and it's more than the team here can take. That's when we reach out to the network, and that's why we need the contractors on board. And then as those projects get bigger and more diverse, and then even better specialists in specific areas, then the network's diversity increases as well, and we can go to the right people there.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important to be able to understand people on our network skill sets, so that we can match them up perfectly with the projects that come in. And that's something that you just cannot do unless you're in the design space and you do design.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's what 2020 is going to be all about.
It's going to be a busy year.
It'll be hardcore.
I can't wait to do this podcast this time next year.
It's going to be interesting
to see how we can reflect on what we said today and what we're thinking this time next year.
Yeah.
Cut to 2020.
If only we could go into the future that quick.
Yeah, we're still working on that technology, still emerging.
Yeah, we haven't got a flux capacitor or DeLorean.
No, that's true.
So, this comes to the end of the podcast. If there's any questions you do have, you're watching this on YouTube, post them down in the comments below. If you're listening to this on any of the social networking sites, such as Spotify or iTunes, had to remember them then, new to this, then do email us at hello@wearestage1.com and we can answer those questions. If you're a client or a contractor or an investor, of course, get in touch with us as well. Thank you for listening to our podcast. Next week we will be back with a news podcast, talking about what's in the news in our space, what's hot, what's cold
outside.
Very outside. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye.